Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, gaming attorney and Nevada legend Jeff Silver joins us. He's here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years.
Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
With Nevada's only transplant center and verified burn center, the science is here. With award-winning cardiologist and the state's only dedicated heart failure clinic, the talent is here. With Nevada's most advanced robotic surgery, the technology is here. And with the Silver State's only designated pediatric trauma center, hope is here. All because we are here. UMC.
It's a good time to win during the big deal $150,000 guaranteed giveaways at Tamarack Casino. $15,000 in cash and free play giveaways each week. And $50,000 in grand prize giveaways with two top prizes of $15,000 cash. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Ahern Hotel in Las Vegas. I couldn't be more delighted to welcome Jeff Silver back to the program. He's an attorney and board member with the Mob Museum, a gaming Hall of Famer. Pleasure to have you back, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here.
So last night we were having dinner at the Sahara Hotel, and they're celebrating 70 years in business. Give me your thoughts on the history of the Sahara Hotel.
Well, I didn't tell you to ask me this question, but I have to say that it was one of my first jobs when I was just out of high school. And I came back over the summer and worked as a room service busboy at the Sahara Hotel. And my job was to bring ice orders to the rooms and to pick up the dishes and trays that were outside the rooms afterwards. And I waited on people like Del Webb, who was the owner of the hotel at the time, and saw all the other luminaries there that came through the resort. Alex Schufe was the president of the hotel, and it was quite an era of old Las Vegas to be able to be a part of that. I do remember one thing. They had the time and temperature sign on the top of the hotel, and there was a period of time in the afternoon in the summertime when between 1:15 in the afternoon and 1:25 in the afternoon, you couldn't tell whether it was the time or the temperature. It got a lot hotter here in those old days.
That's funny. Now, as a kid, were you aware of the mob influence back then?
Kind of peripherally. As it turned out, the more time I spent growing up here, the more I knew of the characters who had a, quote, reputation of being affiliated with the criminal side. But, in Las Vegas, we kind of welcomed those people. They were the ones that had the expertise in gambling, and they were the creme de la creme of our society. It was a circumstance where they were given awards for being the man of the year in Las Vegas and the community and so on, and it was more or less well accepted that they were in fact part of our overall culture and character.
I grew up in England, and when they legalized the gaming industry in England, all the people who had previously been the crooks became all the legitimate operators because they were the ones that knew how to run the business.
Exactly, and as a matter of fact, I mean, if you went to any major city in the Midwest or in the East Coast, you always had a contact in Las Vegas, a guy who was an affiliate of a guy or a friend of a guy who would take care of your reservations and provide you with complimentary services and so on while you were at the resort. And of course all that stopped when the gaming regulators decided that it was time to root out the organized crime element. But for a long period of time, it was quite a personal party for the members of the organized crime group and their affiliates.
How did you get into being an agent for the Gaming Control Board?
Well, I was never an agent. I was appointed as a member of the gaming board.
I'm sorry, as the board, yes.
Right. And it was an interesting story. I mean, I was a prosecutor at the district attorney's office, which was my first legal job after graduating from law school. And I did prosecute street crime, robberies, rapes, murders, and so on. And I was thinking about going out into private practice at that point and becoming a civil attorney. And I was interviewed by a law firm who took me to, interestingly enough, at Las Vegas Country Club, where they were members. And I say that only because of the Mo Dalitz and the Tony Spilatro stories about the club. But after they were finished recruiting me, they started talking about who was going to replace Shannon Bybee, who was the board member who wanted to retire from the board. And they started talking about the work that he was doing, and it sounded very interesting and very challenging. So when I got back to the office after lunch, I talked to a friend of mine who had just been appointed as a district court judge by Michael Callahan, who was in his second term at that point. And I said, well, how do you get appointed to a job like this? It sounds like it might be interesting. He said, well, just send him a resume. He's a decent guy, and I'm sure he'd like to see it. So I wrote a resume up and I sent it to him. And about 10 days later, I got a call, and it was Michael Callahan on the phone. And I'd never met him before. And he said, I got your resume, it looks interesting. He says, I'd like to check you out. And at that point, he said he was going to go and give some information to Richard Crane, Dick Crane, who was on the federal strike force, and he was a friend of Michael Callahan's. And about a week or two after that, he called me up and he said, okay, you checked out. If you want the job, it's yours. He said, the only thing is that you're going to have to come up to Carson City to meet me, because I don't want to appoint somebody to an important job like this without at least knowing that I've met that individual. So I was in trial at that time, and I said, can I come up on Saturday? And he said, oh yeah, that's fine. And I flew up to Carson City, and that was it. I drove to the mansion and met him, and he was a nice guy. And Phil Hannafin, who was the chair of the board, was there, and Jack Stratton, who I thought was the governor's driver, picked me up at the airport. He was the other board member. And we had a nice chat, and he says, fine. He says, when you get back to Las Vegas, the press will have your name as the new appointee. And he said, you better get ready, hold your hat, because it's pretty wild out there. And the only instruction he gave me was that I should just vote my conscience, and he wasn't going to call me and tell me to do anything one way or the other.
So what was the biggest surprise upon getting that position? What was the thing that surprised you the most about the job?
Well, I think that the members of the industry, at least those that had some questionable background, they were shocked because they never heard of me before. I didn't come up through the ranks in the gaming industry. In fact, I think I only had like one or two instances where I had a crime that even involved gambling when I was in the DA's office. But after things were quiet for the first couple of weeks, what surprised me was the volume of activity that was happening every day. I mean, every day there was another crisis that you had to contend with. I was the only board member down in Las Vegas. The other two were working out of Carson City, so I became the focal point for all the things that were happening in Las Vegas.
Okay, so what would you describe as a crisis?
Well, I mean, it was like a junket scam. There were some issues that had to do with safe deposit boxes at the Dunes Hotel that were suspected to be layoff money from East Coast sports wagering. And that was when I first got involved in working with the FBI because they were interested in some of these cases, and they knew from their brief exposure to me in the DA's office that I was fairly clean, and Dick Crean had investigated me and so on, and so they trusted me, and I was able to assist them on some things, and they were able to assist me on others.
So for those that may not understand, so when you talk about layoff money, you're talking about big bets that were made on the East Coast,
right,
that whoever took the bet didn't want to handle the whole thing, and they would send money out here to be distributed to the various hotels?
Exactly. Well, what happened was there was a lot of big-time wagers placed in the various illegal bookmakers around the country, and when their books got out of balance, and that happens here a lot if a team is favored because it's from a particular geographic area, then they have all this money on the other side. They want to continue to stay in action by accepting those bets, so they would have a courier carry cash and make wagers in the books in Nevada.
So how much money are we talking about?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. It was
millions.
It was big time.
You know, it's funny. The gaming industry is such a huge industry now across the country, legal gaming, but yet the illegal market is even bigger.
Well, there's a reason for that. In the illegal market, you didn't have to report winnings to the IRS. The IRS didn't have to know that you had that kind of money to bet, and you had that kind of money in cash to bet, and you could offer different odds than maybe a conservative book might offer. Maybe you had, if you were in the illegal gambling, maybe you had inside information about a particular thing that was going on within a locker room or injury report or something, that you may have had more information than the astute bookmakers who were working in the casinos.
It's pretty amazing how much money was involved in all of this, and still is today.
Well, I'm utterly amazed when you think about what we have going on in this country, and how sports wagering has taken off. And it used to be such a pariah, where when I was involved in the hotel business and running the Riviera Hotel, we couldn't even have a Super Bowl party that had a television set that had more than 40-inch screen. I mean, it was like,
really?
Yes, it was all specified that you couldn't use the broadcast that was a trademarked, copyrighted broadcast and show it to anyone if you had a screen that was larger than 40 inches.
You know, and it's astonishing because for a long time, no Las Vegas casinos or the Convention Authority could even advertise during the Super Bowl, and now we're going to have a Super Bowl in Las Vegas. What do you make of that?
Well, I guess money talks is what I make of it. You know, it seems to me that when the various states find a new revenue stream in order to make things more acceptable and convenient for people to get involved in something that's going to pay them a heavy tax rate. So,
when you were involved with the Riviera, what was the circumstances? How did you end up with that job? Because the Riviera had questionable history, to say the least.
Well, I was involved previously for working at the Landmark Hotel.
Right.
I became general counsel there, and then it turned out that the owners of that place had embezzled money from their brokerage account in Toledo, Ohio, and I was foisted into the position of having to run that, and instead of being general counsel, to actually be the chief operating officer. And those guys went to jail, and I was given the responsibility to try and cut costs and keep the place open on behalf of the civic trustee, who was trying to put things back together for the investors that lost money at the brokerage firm that was the victim. And I actually was able to turn the place around. I mean, when I was running it, in fact, it was the only time in that whole property's history that they ever made money. And so the place did well. They ended up selling it to Bill Morris, and at that point I was asked if I wanted to stay on, and I said, well, I'm going to do something else. This was too much of a trauma for me. And Meshulam Riklis, who owned the Riviera, had just filed bankruptcy that day, and he called me up and asked me if I wanted to come over and run that place. So I became like the Red Adair of troubled properties, and
putting out the fires.
Went over there, yeah, went over there, and as things happened, I did similar things over there in terms of cutting costs, and was able to put $9 million in the bank account over there after a period of 7 or 8 months, whereas they could barely make the payroll beforehand. So I stayed there for a couple of years, a year and a half. And then because we had so much money, Rickless decided he was going to start using the excess money to promote Pia Zadora on her concert movie career and so on. So I said I didn't think I wanted to be a part of that, and resigned and went to work elsewhere. But that's how I ended up working over there. And while I was there, I brought in Burger King, which was the first fast food restaurant to be ever in a food court or in a casino. And actually the food court concept was created at the Riviera when I was there. So,
interesting days. Let's take a break. We'll come back more with Jeff Silver after this timeout.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. Entertainment here at the Carson Valley Inn is extraordinary.
Yeah, super proud of the TJ's Corral, our outdoor venue, about 1,500 seats. We've had first-class entertainment out there. We've had Merle Haggard, we've had Chris Young, we've had Lee Brice a couple times, we've had Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, who's in the Hall of Fame. We're real proud out there, and it's just a great time. Watch CarsonValleyInn.com. and grab those tickets early. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jeff Silver. He is a legend. He's an attorney, board member of the Mob Museum, and a member of the Gaming Hall of Fame. Was Kirk Kerkorian an anomaly in Las Vegas?
Oh yes. They never saw. He was a person like Howard Hughes, kind of mysterious, but he actually would interact with the community, and you could actually talk to him and see him. But he was an amazing entrepreneur, and I think one of the guys that, if you have to look at all time as one of the people that made Las Vegas what it is today. He's right at the top of the list.
The thing that struck me about him in reading a biography of his a couple of years ago was during the MGM fire, or after the MGM fire, when the insurance companies were balking at paying the victims. And he told his top lieutenants, these people are our customers and our friends. We're going to pay them and let the insurance companies show themselves to the public to not be taking care of their customers. What did you think about that? Because that was quite a ballsy move on his part.
Well, it's the kind of character that Kirk Kerkorian always exhibited. He definitely a very classy guy, and that kind of outpouring of respect and generosity was the hallmark. You can see that some of the things that are part of the charitable activities for the town today have all come at his direction through his financing and the trust and so on, through the university and through other public gifts that he's made.
Yeah, remarkable man. All right, let's take one more break and we'll be right back. Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Ring in the holidays with $350,000 big holiday extravaganza at Carson Valley Inn. Over 1,000 winners. Weekly cash, free play, and up to $10K in cash every Saturday. And 2 grand prize drawings. Win up to $20,000 in cash. 'Tis the season for winning big at the Carson Valley Inn.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jeff Silver. He is an attorney, board member of the Mob Museum, and a member of the Nevada Gaming Hall of Fame. The Mob Museum, an extraordinary thing. And one of the things that I found interesting was the first head of the Mob Museum in Las Vegas was the former FBI boss.
Right. Ellen Knowlton.
Yes.
And she was just leaving the special agent in charge of the Las Vegas office, and there was some kind of a ceremonial thing, and Oscar Goodman was presenting her with the key to the city and so on, and thanking her for her service. But in the back of his head, he always knew that we needed someone at the Mob Museum that had the credibility from the law enforcement side, so that the people in town didn't think about this as just being, you know, a tribute to Oscar Goodman and some of his criminal clients. And so he whispered in her ear that he'd like to talk to her about a project that he was working on, and got together with her and convinced her, after she checked with her bosses at the FBI and in Washington, to see that it would be okay and it wouldn't be bringing the FBI into discredit. And depending on how it was characterized, it became the Museum of Organized Crime and Law Enforcement. And her leadership at the beginning was instrumental in giving it the kind of respectability and recognition that was necessary. And it resulted in certain exhibits and treasures that were in the possession of the FBI actually being lent to or donated to the museum.
For example?
Oh, I mean, it was like some of the stuff that had to do with the crime families, the exhibits regarding the charts, who was where, some of the tapes about the ceremonies that the organized crime people would have, all of the information that had come through them that had been used in trial, that had still some benefits. Al Capone and some of the things that he had, and he left treasures away with the Bureau. Those are all things that she was able to get them to let loose of, to put in a permanent exhibit at the FBI, at the museum.
She was the toughest interview I ever did.
Yeah.
I did an interview with her, and almost every answer was, I can't answer a question concerning an ongoing investigation. It was a very tough interview.
Well, would they have that same attitude today? Well, I guess they do.
Well, I hate to bring this to a close, but we're out of time. but that just means that we invite you to come back again and talk more about this. And I want to next time explore your relationship with Oscar Goodman, which wasn't always the most positive situation, but ended up being positive.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing about the museum. Not only was Ellen Knowlton responsible for the success, but it was also Jonathan Ullman, who has been extraordinary as the CEO of the museum, and I tip my hat to him.
Well, and we tip our hat to you, Jeff Silver. Always a pleasure to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
And we'll be right back.
Thank you, Sam.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
With Nevada's only transplant center and verified burn center, the science is here. With award-winning cardiologist and the state's only dedicated heart failure clinic, the talent is here. With Nevada's most advanced robotic surgery, the technology is here. And with the Silver State's only designated pediatric trauma center, hope is here. All because we are here. UMC.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Win during the big deal $150,000 guaranteed giveaways at Tamarack Casino.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.